Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Facebook Live session where we talk about mortgages and how to get South Africans into the first homes in New Zealand. This week, it's all about should you buy an existing home, should you buy a section and then build on it, should you do a turnkey property that's won through a developer, which I'm discussing today, even to the extent that we're talking about getting a container home or a removable home and then putting it on the section, how the lender will look at it. And then obviously we also look at an existing home and how that the bank will look at that kind of application and what the risks are with each one of those situations. So what I'm doing today is talking about a turnkey property. So turnkey is literally when you get the money when you turn the key. So it's a contract between yourself and a developer. It's not the same as a house and land package. So with a house and land package, you would get a section or a piece of land and then get a builder to actually build it on it for you. So your involvement with a turnkey property is literally could be off the plans, and you have a look at a particular property, and the developer is responsible for everything from the beginning to end. And as I said, literally you just move in and turn the key and move into your new home. So as I said, the contract needs to be between yourself and the developer, and similar to a normal contract, you will pay a deposit on the contract being unconditional. So I'm profiling a lender today that's prepared to do a 5% deposit on a turnkey property, and you need to have a resident visa in that case. So most of the clients that I deal with have maybe just started with contributing to KiwiSaver. They've now had it for 3 years, and they can actually use the KiwiSaver to buy their first home. So recently, in the last 3 years or so, there's been a law change where you can actually use your KiwiSaver contribution as part of the deposit. The key here is to, as soon as you sign the contract with yourself and the developer, is to engage your KiwiSaver provider. Your KiwiSaver provider will then send a letter to your solicitor. Your solicitor will then sign a document to say that you've engaged into this contract to buy a property. It will then go back to the KiwiSaver provider, and the KiwiSaver provider will pay over the funds in your solicitor trust account so that you have got sufficient funds to pay the deposit. So the key, as I said, is really to, as soon as you sign the agreement, is to engage your solicitor and your KiwiSaver provider to get the money out so that you can actually fulfill one of the conditions of the contract, which in this case is a 5% deposit minimum. With a turnkey property, the approval is in principle only from the bank, because you need to understand some of these projects are 12 months old, some are 24 months old. So there's a lot that can happen in that time. So what will happen in this case, so the lender I'm talking about is actually now only looking at applications or developments that's going to be less than 12 months old in terms of completion. So in your contract, see, sometimes there is a clause in there that if the project is not completed before a certain amount of time, then you are allowed to exit from the contract. You need to get legal advice. It's very, very important to get legal advice, and the reason for that is that the risk is with yourself. The approval that you get from the bank is in principle only, as I said. It's not a formal approval. You might have a change in your circumstances in the meantime. You might lose your job. You might take a job with less pay. The bank policy might change in the next 12 months or 24 months, yet as it may, and the Reserve Bank policy might change. So the bank is not prepared to give you that long approval, say for 12 months. So then what you would need to do then, as I said, get some really good legal advice, understand the risk that you're getting yourself into. As part of the approval, there will normally be a requirement for a registered valuation, especially because the deposit is less than 20%. The valuation is ordered through a portal. It's not that you can get your friend, for example, to do the valuation. It's a valuation that's done through an approved portal by the bank. And what we would need to do is order a valuation on an as-is basis. And then also, so that's the value at the moment, the value of the property at the moment in its incomplete state, and then also a completed state valuation. So that means when the property is already been completed. So the valuer will make an estimation of what the value of the property is going to be once it's complete. So the key here is that the bank takes the lesser of the registered valuation and the purchase price that you paid for it. And so it could be you're hoping that the valuation is higher, obviously, than the purchase price. If it's lower than the purchase price and you've only got a 5% deposit, the bank will decline the lending because you need to have at least a 5% deposit. So as I said, the key there is to be really sure that you're getting yourself into a contract where you think the value will be either the same or more than your purchase price. So now the development is continuing. Maybe let's say it was a 6-month development, and you get notification from the developer that the code of compliance has now been issued, building is now complete. And so what you then need to do is you would need to go back to the bank. First thing you need to confirm is just that you've got home insurance in place for the property, obviously because they need to protect their security. And then you would need to then order another valuation to confirm the initial valuation. And again, you need to hope that the value is more than the purchase price that you paid for it in this case. So the tricky part is, the lender might actually reassess the application again. They might not be prepared to approve it straight away because it might be that it's 6 months down the line. They might feel that things have changed with yourself, and they might look at your accounts and see something that they're not happy with, and so they would need to get it reapproved. And so it's like starting a new application. If it is only a few months, maybe 2 or 3 months, the bank might actually say, well, listen, it's all good. We can go ahead. You don't have to prove your income again, for example, and they might just approve it straight away. So at this point, hopefully everything stacks up and you're not unconditional. The bank will then order the documents, or your mortgage broker will order the documents and then forward it on to your solicitor, and the solicitor will then pay over the 95% that's left over in order for you to settle on the property. And then you move into your new home. So I get quite a few of these in terms of South Africans, obviously because of the low deposit, but also the reason why people like these kind of properties is because the property is built up to the latest building standard, which is really good, especially in New Zealand, because New Zealand's housing stock is quite old, and sometimes it's an advantage to get a brand new property, and it's also at a low deposit. So hope you found it helpful. I'll speak to you again in the next week about the other options that are available. And as I said, I'm going to discuss house and land packages, or in that case, buying your own section and building on it. I'm also going to be discussing transportable homes, removable homes, and also containers. And then we're going to talk about existing property. And each one of these, I'm going to talk about the deposit required, the risks involved in each one of those, and how the bank will assess the applications. Anyway, thank you. Have a nice day. Speak to you soon.